Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any ideas or opinions expressed by myself, the guest, or a caller may not necessarily reflect the same opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Enlightenment defined. It's the state of giving and receiving greater knowledge and understanding about a certain subject or situation. Evolution defined. The gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So what then is Enlightenment Evolution? The state of giving and receiving greater knowledge as we develop from a simple to a more complex human being, living on Earth for our soul's experience. Welcome now and join us as we explore our Enlightenment Evolution Hour together.
Hey everybody, how are you guys doing tonight? Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I'm your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network, and we are simulcasted on the Matrix Minds and the Enlightenment Evolution Hour Facebook page. Hello everyone. Welcome. I wanted to say hello to all of you guys out there today. I want to welcome you guys. We're here every Wednesday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, that's 7 Pacific. And we always bring an amazing guest, and today is no different. We've got an amazing guest, a good friend from a long time, and I'm going to be bringing him in just a few minutes, guys. But before we do, I want to drop the announcements. The first announcement is, of course, the Enlightenment Evolution Network has some new shows going on. As you guys know, The Mothership is a show about the paranormal, strange experiences out there. And then we have Out There Talk with Valiant himself, which is a new show, which our guest was actually a part of just a couple weeks back. And this is an Instagram-only show. So if you guys have an Instagram account, go to @OutThereTalk. It's an amazing show. I was just a guest on there last week. It was a great show. We'll drop the links down in the description for that. So check out that. And as you guys know, we're simulcast on the Matrix Minds. The Matrix Minds Media is a place that's been around for a long time. Matthew Turner, amazing guy who runs that, is a dude who's been bringing great information for a long time. He is going to have a show tonight at midnight, and you can go check that out. And I'm definitely going to be jumping back and forth there tonight. And of course, our show on our other network, our other show, Out There Talk, is starting at 11:59 p.m. So if you guys want, you can watch two shows at once, or you can go to Matthew or check out the Out There Talk. The good thing about all these shows is that they are permanently a part of the system. So if you want to watch Out There Talk at a later time, you can always check out the reels on the Instagram. And with Matthew, he has both Facebook and YouTube permanently memorialized, just like this show. You can come back and check it out anytime. So check those out. We have a new show that's going to be coming very soon. Two dear friends of mine, John Craig and Kama England, are going to be doing some amazing stuff, and we're going to have them having their own show pretty soon, and we'll know more about that later, and we'll make sure to announce that too. Kalina's going to have her own show coming back pretty soon, The Earth Experience with Kalina Angel. So the network's filling up, guys. We're also broadcast after the fact on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, and we are broadcast on Conscious Awakening Network. And we still have yet to transfer our shows over there, but very soon all of our shows will be available over there. So welcome, guys. That's the network announcements. For the show announcement next week at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific, we will have the one and only CW Chanter live here with us in person. What a trip that'll be. If you guys have never got a hold of CW Chanter, some of you will love him, some of you not so much. He's a guy who's been very skeptical about people in our community and talks very openly about it, but he is also an amazing dude who really is a good friend, and I love the guy, and we're gonna have him here next week, and we're gonna talk about a lot of great stuff. And as far as the ET Whisper, there's no solid announcements tonight. We're just telling you the same thing we've been telling you. Our Healing Sexuality course has been out there in the public. We're going to be having a channeling course very soon, which will implement some of the things from the channeling classes that we've done, the group classes, and we're going to be implementing some new things in there. So that will be announced soon. And so will the Metatron course once we get that started and done. That'll be, I would imagine, in more than a month from now. The channeling course will be much closer to that. Will be probably within the next month, I'm thinking. So all of that will be announced through the ET Whisperer website and through all of my social medias, which you can find at the bottom of the description here. Now, all of that aside, I want to talk to you guys about my guest tonight. Julio R. was born in Lima, Peru, and from an early age, he had very unusual experiences growing up in the house of spirits, having premonitions, dreaming of deceased family members, sensing energy, astral travels. These experiences made him certain that there was more than physical reality. And he goes into great length of sharing his story on Out There Talk with Valiant himself over on Instagram, our new show to the channel. So if you guys are interested in hearing that backstory of whatever we don't share tonight, it's definitely something to check out. But it was 2012 when he met his spirit guide and unlocked the esoteric knowledge that he had in the first. Oh, sorry, he unlocked his first past life. And shortly after that, he was visited by Pleiadians and other galactic beings, several ascended masters, and he's currently working with terrestrial and extraterrestrial beings alike for the advancement of humanity. He's an experiencer, a writer, a grid worker, an activator, and he is a galactic shaman. So instead of me saying, hey, everybody, this is what I can tell you about Julio, instead, we're going to bring him in right now. Welcome, Julio. Thank you for coming tonight, brother. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, absolutely, brother. Um, we'll talk a little bit about our shared connections as we go through a little bit later. But right now, I want to start the show how I always start the show. My very first question I ask, not what your story is necessarily, although feel free to share whatever you need to. But what is the experiences you had through your childhood, through your teenage years, growing up, young adulthood, that opened you up to have the right kind of mindset and emotions and consciousness so that you could open yourself to the experience that's your story and that is the work that you do and that all the magic things that did happen to you. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yes, of course. So, for me, I really had no option but to be born in a magical world, which is the type of reality that we experience in Peru. I was born in the capital in Lima, and this is a 500-year-old city. Before that, it was inhabited by indigenous peoples, and we could say maybe thousands and thousands of years back. So when when I was growing up, I experienced a lot of paranormal activity in the house where I lived. So from the get-go, I just knew that life wasn't just what I could see with my eyes. I had premonitions when I was a little kid. I felt spirits. I felt spirits touch me. I would wake up in the middle of the night and see things moving around, floating around. There were always knockings in the roof of the house, on the walls. So um, to me, it was just obvious that there was something else going on. But I also grew up with a lot of people that believed in all these magical things, and there's a little bit of superstition in I would say in Peruvian DNA, um, but there are also lots of stories that the indigenous people share with everyone. So we had people that came from the mountains to work in our houses because I lived in the capital, they lived in the mountain. So to better themselves, they would travel to Lima, and they would bring with them their food, the things that they like to eat, the way that they looked, their appearance, but they also brought with them their culture, their religious beliefs, and their stories. And they just fed me so many stories about spirits and ghosts and paranormal things that happened in the mountains, and it's just my whole life, my whole childhood was just filled with all this magical stuff. And then as I grew up, I decided to I wanted to see with my eyes, not just hear the stories, but to see with my eyes how the universe worked. So that took me into a journey with plant medicine at an age of 17. So with the plant medicine, I was able to see the different textures of the reality and how everything is forming in front of us. So that opened me up even further. And then after that, I started meditating and reading a lot of Buddhist texts and a lot of Hindu texts also, and meeting with those people. So um, I just basically all my life have had an education in what is spirituality, what is metaphysics, what is belief, what is myth, what's real, what's not real, and what is possible. So it's just, I don't know, it's just um, I don't know, just all my life basically. All my life just basically has been magical.
Well, that's a very interesting aspect, you know. Uh, do you think more so that this has to do with the experience you have living in the location you did when you were growing up in Lima, because of its ancient culture, because of the indigenous energy, because of the consciousness behind the growth of the people there, plus the 500 years of the new indigenous people there, or do you think that this was something that was available inside of you and was activated because of that, or maybe even a little bit of both? How do you think that that works?
Well, I did have some hypnosis sessions, and I remember in one of those, one of my questions was, um, why was I born in Peru? So the answer from my higher self is that I needed to be part of the Brotherhood of the Sun. And in Peru, the last that we remember is that the indigenous people worship the sun, and royalty consider themselves to be the children of the sun. So um, me being born in Peru was for me to be able to connect to that essence and to that lineage of the Brotherhood of the Sun. So, of course, later on, you find out that there are plenty of suns in the universe. So, which sun am I from? Right?
Right. Absolutely. And So this Brotherhood of the Sun thing, and I don't mean to cut off your answer. This sun energy itself. Do you? I know you talked a little bit about this with Valiant himself about the ancients had brought a lot of knowledge about the sun worship, but didn't really have a lot of written history about it. It was just a lot of what the conquistadors perceived when they saw them first, or when they saw the remnants of their culture, or something to that effect. Um, what do you understand that significance of being a person of the sun, or worshiping the sun, or connecting with the star in our solar system was?
Right. So um, when I first heard it from my higher self, it sounded to me as if I was royalty. So when I think of royalty, I think of leadership. So I saw it in that way. But later on, when I really think about what is the sun and what does the sun represent, um, we are really talking about a portal, and the sun is the portal. So I am not really the son of the son of the sun per se, but I am a being from the portal. So I don't know. That's how I see it now.
Okay, that makes sense. And so being a part of this culture from the ancient civilization, being born in that place, your household itself was actually considered in a very specific area too. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So the whole coast of Peru has pyramids. The lines of Nazca, everybody knows about the lines of Nazca. They're only visible from the air, so you need to charter a plane and fly over to be able to see them. Well, there are pyramids in that area, but nobody knows about them because um, there's just no funds to to explore the archaeology of the area. Um, in the northern part of Peru, there are other pyramids which are more known, but still they don't get the notoriety that they deserve. In Lima, where I was born, we also have pyramids, and Lima was one of the main hubs for divination and prediction. So there is right now, I think, only two pyramids that have survived. One is to the south, that it's the place is called Pachacamac, which means creator of the planet, and the other one is actually a complex where I grew up. It's the house where I was born. That one is called Waka Pukyana, and I don't know what Pukyana means, and Waka means pyramid basically. So I grew up right next to that pyramid, and like I said, there were other pyramids in the city, but they were all destroyed by the Spanish when they came to Lima. So we only have left those two pyramids. There are lots of archaeological pieces here and there, ceramics and pottery and uh, clothing and mummies and things like that all over the city. But it's just so little that people don't notice it.
Sorry about that. I accidentally hit the camera button instead of my microphone button. So as this energy of being next to the pyramid is there, how do you think that's relevant? Since you've explored yourself, since you've connected with your galactic guides, since you kind of learned how to be intuitive and psychic, and hone that energy in better, what do you think those pyramids are all about? What do you think the Nazca lines and that whole energy around the Peruvian region is.
Mhm. So what I know for certain is that the pyramids are built on vortexes, right? So the pyramids augment and magnify this energy. They can work as stargates, they can work as pillars of light. Um, but I know for sure that the the galactics and their spaceships like to hover over the pyramids and just stay there. It's kind of like, um, I don't know. You don't really eat a burger if you don't put cheese on it. You know?
Right?
So yeah, so the pyramid kind of like goes with the spaceship on top of it. You know, it's kind of like the garage for your car. So the pyramids, they open up that galactic connection that we have forgotten about. And I mean, it's just the energy in the pyramids. It's just so different, and the connection that you can build with the outer world, with the with space, and with other civilizations is so much more strong that if you were to go to a pyramid, you immediately would know that people from other galaxies, other planets, other systems have visited that place.
That's amazing. And the thing for me now, I'll run by on what I understand too about the pyramids from the human studying perspective, and a lot of the people who've done work in investigations have found that the pyramids act as a conductor of energy, like you were saying, like the spaceship parks in there, and it connects to the energy. Maybe it's like a refueling system, maybe it's an energetic system, maybe it helps bring the earth energy, whatever the case might be. But when you at the base of a pyramid, a Russian scientist, and I can't remember his name, studied the effects of just regular glass pyramids that he built there in Russia, and plants were growing inside the pyramid like 12% bigger, in some cases up to 30% larger. They were growing wider, producing more fruits and vegetables. The conductivity of the sun was much higher in there. So it's almost like it's taking the natural elemental energies and enhancing those too. So the energy of your experiences there, can you share a little bit about some of the things that happened to you as a kid and as a young adult before you left Lima?
Yeah. So when I was growing up in Lima, I had no connection to the galactics, nothing. I was a hard skeptic. I just they if I couldn't see them, I just they didn't exist. I had seen spirits, I had seen ghosts. I believed in those because I had seen them. But galactics, I had never seen. And then retracing my history, I know that the military industry in Peru, they had a hand on certain things that had to deal with spaceships and galactics and things of that nature. That just as it happens here in the US, they just conceal all that information, and everybody is left out in a state of ignorance. So um, I used to visit lots of places that were really weird to me when I was a kid, and I would ask my parents about those places if they would remember them when I was an adult, and they don't remember anything. So it's
Whoa.
just, yeah, they don't remember anything, and I don't know.
What kind of places were these that you would go to that they would just forget and not remember anything about?
So when I was a kid, I did a lot of I had asthma, so my parents took me to a lot of doctors, right? And they just remember some, but like some other doctors, they don't. And they were doctors that, when I was a little kid, they were completely creepy to me. Um, but I don't know what they were injecting, because they could never say, they could never tell my parents what they were injecting. So that has affected a lot of my DNA and the way in how I feel things and how I feel energy. Um, it actually all of that has helped me reach very deep levels of meditation and relaxation. So in 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 part of my story, there is the plant medicine, but before that, there is this pharmaceutical stuff that I just don't know what it was, but it helped me relax. And then when I ask my parents about it, they just don't remember. So,
They're just like, no, I don't remember any of
yeah,
that.
right, yeah, yeah. So,
Wow.
and when I was growing up as a kid, we used to have helicopters, the black helicopters, fly right next to my house, and I lived where there were buildings, and helicopters shouldn't be flying there. And I would ask my dad. I remember asking my dad many times, why are those helicopters flying if there's no military base? There's no reason for those things to be flying around here. And he just, I don't know, they're just flying by. So I don't know. After I learned that the black helicopters meant something to the UFO community, I started questioning that. So
So it seems like there were experiences in your life as a kid that either your parents knew nothing about, like couldn't actually recall or remember, that you remember vividly and you remember repetitively. And then there's other things that seemed really obvious to you once you started understanding the phenomena, like the helicopters, but they were just kind of oblivious to, and not oblivious in a bad way, as in stunted or dumb, but just kind of like, oh, I don't know, you know,
right, yeah.
like a lot of our parents do when we're younger and we talk to them about things. Uh, what did that tell you anything as a kid when you brought these subjects to your parents and they couldn't remember them or didn't? Did that make you feel weird about it? Did it make you think about, hey, what the heck is going on here? Or was it just kind of seem normal because it happens so much?
Well, when I was a kid, I just kind of like went with the flow. I did have severe asthma, and the medicine really didn't help me for asthma. Um, but it was part of my treatments, and I I grew up having my own set of pills and medicine and in my little dresser. So I don't know. I just when I was a kid, I just wanted to be able to breathe. That was it. So
Yeah.
so I didn't really question some of the doctors. I remember having arguments with the doctors and being kicked out by the doctors and things like that. And I would ask my parents, "Hey, do you remember that guy?" No, I don't remember any of that. So okay, all right.
That's amazing. Well, there seems to be that then you were already making some form of connection, either in your psychic awareness or maybe something very physical that just was being blocked out of other people's perceptions happening. And you said now you understand these injections you were getting were something that affected your DNA. I will say, we've known each other through workshops and stuff, and I can say that you're probably one of the most chilled people I know in the world. Like nothing bothers you. You're relaxed. And I've always wondered, is that just something that developed as a personality thing? Is that because you're deep in your consciousness? But do you think these injections had a part of your ability to relax, as you were kind of alluding to?
Well, they they did make me feel very different. They changed the way that I breathe. They changed the way that my heart beats. So I've had a lot of yogic experiences. For instance, stopping my pulse, stopping the beating of my heart, stopping my breathing, and with no need for the medication. But these medications kind of like gave me that little boost. You know, they kind of like gave me a preview. These medicines can do this for you. Maybe when you're older and you're exploring yoga and mysticism, you may want to remember how it felt when you were a kid. And yeah, I mean, the human body, it's an amazing tool if you know how to use it.
Well, absolutely. That you see people like Wim Hof who
Right.
develop that breathing thing, and he can literally go into places that people die of exposure with 3 winter coats, and he's going in there in his shorts, like sweat shorts. And I've seen some amazing things from a lot of Buddhist monks who do the same thing. They're up in mountains in just their robes, and they're breathing and telling their heart to slow down. So it is amazing, and so I guess this experience, not just the geolocation of being born there, or kind of being doused with this energy all the time when you're a kid, but also maybe the injections, the co-creations with all of these energies. This kind of led you to have a development over your own body that wasn't there before. Do you think that these experiences you had were the healing factor in the asthma, or is it something where you think it taught you how to control the breathing so you could control the asthma?
Um, it never really helped me with asthma. Like none of the medicine helped me, um, and I would say that it was just that the medicine wasn't good for asthma. just that's just it. Um, but they did give me a very deep sense of relaxation, and like I said, that helped me when I was doing my meditations and going really deep and being able to travel and do things like that while I'm in a meditation. So it did help me when I was exploring meditation. Um, but at the time, I don't know. But the higher self is so much more than I am. So I don't know. Yeah, the way that they plan things is just phenomenal. So
Yeah, it's the universe is a mysterious thing, I know Christians always say God works in mysterious ways.
yeah,
The universe works in mysterious ways. Our higher self, we do in some cases as
yeah.
humans. We're always working some weird way, but it's fascinating. So take us now. We're already understanding the childhood you had and growing up. Take us to 2012, the shift from Lima to the U.S. and the experience in your spiritual journey in 2012.
Right. So in 2012, I had been in Miami for about 17 years, I think, and I just I already had those paranormal experiences that I mentioned, and I just wanted to be a normal person, have a normal job, have a house, have a wife or a girlfriend, have a car. So very basic stuff. Um, and that's kind of like what I strived for at the time. But then in 2012, everything, everything changed because in 2012 I turned 40, and at the time I was contemplating the idea of having achieved everything that the 3D can offer. So, having a house, having a wife, having a family, having a car, having a job. And I wonder if there was anything else for me. And why did I ask that question? Because not long after, I had to quit my job, and then the whole spiritual experience kicked in, which led me to meeting the galactics, which the first ones to come were the Pleiadians.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about that too, with the initial connection with the Pleiadians and kind of how that started, how it took off, and what it developed into?
Yeah. So um, I I first had received my first past life. Right at the time, I didn't understand parallel lives or future lives. All I understood was past lives. So I got my first past life, and this life basically it, it felt like if this past life was ruling my current life. Everything in that life I was doing in this current incarnation. So I found a lot of people from that life who were being participants in the now moment in 2012. They confirmed everything. After I had those past lives, actually after I had that past life unravel, I started seeing spirits again. So once I got the spirits going and I had the past life, um, that's when I was pushed into the next level, which is the galactics. So like I said earlier, I was a hard skeptic on galactics. I just had never seen them, so I just didn't believe in anything. Um, but since my third eye had opened and I was seeing spirits and I was having telepathic communication with a spirit guide, seeing the spaceship from the Pleiadians parked over the Miami Everglades was not so unusual to me. So after I saw that ship, I started to have communication with them, and I don't know. They just the the first the first thing they did for me was they they gave me a symbol. I drew the symbol in my journal, and they told me go look for that symbol on the Google images and search for Pleiadians. So I I went on Google with the symbol, and I looked, and then I found it. I clicked on the symbol, and it took me to um, the website of Barbara Merciniak. And
Whoa.
yeah, so the symbol was she used it for one of her meditation CDs. So I found it, and I was thinking, wow, this is quite incredible. Um, I looked at her books. I put them in the cart. I was thinking about buying them, and then something told me, um, you don't have to pay for that, and you don't have to wait for it. Go to YouTube and find those books. And and I did. I went on YouTube and I found the audiobooks for Bringers of the Dawn. And I just played it, and I was just marveled. So before I got the symbols, I went on a quick meditation with the Pleiadians while they were on the ship. And on the meditation, I saw myself. Well, first I saw a tunnel and again a portal at the end. Then I saw a bridge forming. And then from the other end of the bridge, I saw myself and my wife coming. So what I heard in my ear, in my internal ear, was, "You are from the future. You are here to assist humanity." So that was pretty powerful, and I was happy to at least have someone with me in this journey, which is my wife. So so when I was listening to Barbara Marciniak's book, within the first 6 paragraphs, there is a sentence that says, "We come from the future. We are here to assist humanity." So I had no doubt. I had no doubt that I had contacted the Pleiadians.
That is fantastic. And just as a side note, for all of you guys who are regular here on the ET Whisper, people who are in our Patreon, as you guys know, William Stoll from Fincastle Underground helps us out a lot with our Patreon since we've had Lily, and he just got back from a Barbara Marciniak thing. I've heard a little bit of her channeling. I don't listen to a lot of other channeling because I do it myself, so I just listen to my own guides usually. But he loves Barbara Marciniak, thinks the world of her, follows her to this day, everything. And Kalina found a lot of great use from the early Barbara Marciniak books too, The Bringers of the Dawn and stuff. And a lot of people in the chat are lighting up about Barbara Marciniak. So that's an amazing way to find your connection to the Pleiadians. But there's something you said I want to ask. You said you're seeing these ships over the Everglades. It's like a normal thing. And then one time you met the Pleiadians in there when this great, extraordinary synchronicity experience happened with you. So what you mean by that? Were you looking out of your window and seeing the ship and then going into a meditation and then projecting your consciousness over to that same ship you're looking at? Is that what you meant?
Yes, yes. I
Um,
was I was sitting in my bed, and I had a window that faced um, towards the Everglades. And as I was sitting there, I see this huge thing just floating, and I'm just thinking to myself, "What is that?" And just telling myself, "No, that's not a ship. That's not a ship." But it was a ship. So, and it was a huge one, just floating and standing there. So I projected, yes, I projected my consciousness towards that ship to have the communication. And after that, I had to lay down in bed and meditate. That's when I got the messages.
oh, I bet my own experience with astral projection. It's a very energetically ungrounding experience. So when you come back from it, like I'm doing that when I channel. So when I'm done, I need time to reground. It takes you very far away from the earth vibe, the heaviness that is earth. It takes you way to a higher level of vibration. So now that you met these beings, now that you saw the symbol, now that you found your earth confirmation for your human mind that needed that, and found all these beautiful synchronicities. Um, do you see yourself then as a star seed, a Pleiadian star seed who came to Earth at this time, in this specific time frame, to give love, to share, to give guidance, assistance, whatever it is that you want to share with others, and kind of give that to them as information, or is it as cut and dry as that?
Well, um, at the beginning, I thought that I was a Pleiadian starseed, and I did a lot of things with the Pleiadians. I saw a lot of their ships. They invited me to a lot of places, and I followed, and they would always be there for me, and they would take me to meet people, and it was a wild journey with the Pleiadians. Um, but somebody sent me um, a test to see what kind of starseed I was. So I did the test, and then I got back that I was a Syrian starseed. So I called my friend and I told her, hey, this thing that you sent me, it told me that I'm a Syrian starseed, and I've been just hanging out with the Pleiadians. This is crazy. This is not right. And she said, yeah, just don't worry about it. Just forget about it. Um, and after that, I did that test with my family, and I decided to move to Orlando. So we sold our house in Miami, and we came to Orlando, and we rented a place here in Orlando. Um, and as soon as I started to meet the community here, um, the a new set of guides came, and these were Syrian people. And I've been here for 6 years in Orlando, and um, I've just been hanging out with the Syrians. Really, they're my new people. So I would like to think sometimes that I am Pleiadian Syrian. Sometimes I think I'm just Syrian, and then the the Pleiadians initiated me into this path. But at the same time, why would I say that I come from the future? I come from the Pleiades. So what I believe now is that I am just everything. So
Yeah.
I am part Pleiadian, I am part Syrian. I resonate a lot with the Lyrans. Um, I have a lot of Andromedan beings that hang around me. I have Arcturians, I have Martians, I have just a lot of beings. So my DNA is just all crazy, everything, all types of things. So yeah, Starseed, I think at the beginning it helps to pinpoint where you're from, and to develop that connection. But at some point, you evolve, and then you kind of like have to understand that, well, maybe that is the last place that you were. Maybe before that you were somewhere else, and before that you were somewhere else, and on and on and on. So
Yes, yes. Absolutely, and that was something actually that popped up in chat twice. Tammy and Peggy both asked first, how what is a star seed, and secondly, how do you find out what kind you are?
well, there are tests. I mean, nowadays are very common, and you could just go online and see what kind of starseed you are, and they give you certain characteristics. So, for the Pleiadians, when I was hanging out with them, there was a lot of happy energy, joyful energy, a lot of movement, a lot of dancing, a lot of, I don't know, sensual movement, flirting, a lot of that. Um, um, with the Syrians is more about healing. It's let's do some healing, let's do rituals, let's go into our sacred space, So um, every type of DNA strand um, just acts in a different way. And to answer the starseed question, a starseed is basically a being from another planet who has been seeded into planet Earth. So you recognize some type of origin outside of the planet.
Yeah, that's a beautiful share, and for an expansion for my own perspective with star seeds, Kalina did a show on her show back in like 2014, 15 called Earth Seeds and Star Seeds, and I actually have it up on my YouTube channel, the ET Whisper YouTube channel, as a reload. But it goes in depth about star seeds and the experience that a lot of them have, and what the Earth seed energy is. People who've done multiple, but I tend to agree with you. Regardless of whether you're Earth seed, a star seed, whether you're a Pleiadian Syrian, that's just one version of what we can be and one iteration inside of a large incarnation cycle. I know from my own guides that I've been here on Earth since it started. So, like rock 1.0 smashing into ice 1.0, making a
Mhm.
ball for beings to live on. I've been here. So that makes me recognize, the Kanki, Lumanian, Lumerian, Atlanteans, Earth reptilians, all of those lives that have come up and fallen on Earth and now human. But I also have recognition when I hear Syrian and Pleiadian, Arcturian, all these ones that humans know a lot about. I think part of my recognition as an Earthseed for those energies isn't as much of my remembering being one, because I don't. I feel so home at Earth, like I've been here forever and ever. But I also have my whole DNA filled with these races, like all of us do. All of these races at one time in our history injected their DNA into different versions of humans from everything I've understood from what Trev and Art have shared. So we literally, humans have Arcturian DNA, Pleiadian DNA, um, Syrian DNA, and reptilian DNA, and all these different types of DNA. There's 12 different kinds from 7 different races. Some like 5 of those being half and half, like 50% hybrids. So we get 2 types of DNA for one exchange, and then the other 2 being full DNA of their own race, and that would be the 12 altogether. And I don't know how accurate or that is, but it always resonated with me a lot, and it made me realize too that when we're feeling very connected to one of those races that we have in our DNA, it's because our own archetype of consciousness also has a strong uh like you said, when you're doing these tests, they have different aspects or attributes
Mhm.
that can fit in, and I think those attributes in our consciousness naturally kind of pull out that part of our DNA to make it more active, which is probably, as a human, even though being a starseed from another place, you still have that human DNA. And because you were in Lima, because you were exposed to all of these um, extra dimensional energies and between dimensional energies, I think that that's probably what helped activate a lot. And that's just my own perspective. That's just me sharing what I'm perceiving as you're sharing your story. But fascinating stuff. A lot of people are really curious now too. Do you remember? It was a long time ago. You said a few years past. So do you remember the name of the place that you found that starseed test on? Or I'm sure there's probably hundreds of them now online.
No, I have no idea. But if you go online, there's like you said, there's just hundreds. So um, you the best way to do it is to follow your intuition. So whatever pulls your eye, just click on that and do the test. And if it tells you you are, I don't know, Alpha Centauri, and if that feels good to you, then that's it. And if it doesn't feel good to you, then that DNA is not activated with you. So maybe do the test again. But unless you get a reading and somebody can tell you exactly what's going on, you know, you're just gonna have to do the test, and it's empowering to do the test because I'm always about intuition and following your intuition and developing your intuition. So I mean, it's not it's not a bad idea to do the test and feel what you feel.
Yeah, I'm sure some tests are probably more accurate than others, and that intuition is going to play a huge part of that. Makes sense. And
Hmm.
the thing that you said about the being one before, like the last one, maybe Pleiadians were the last race that you came from before Earth, and maybe the Sirians before that, and maybe you progressed down a line of, like you said, with the Lyrians and all of the other races. Maybe that just as part of the case. But something I recognized from what my own guides have shared is how time is experienced by us versus how it's experienced by these multidimensional beings. Have you ever heard anything about linear time versus non-linear time, or anything to do with the way souls incarnate. Have you ever covered these types of topics with your guides?
Yes, yes. So linear time is the type of time that we understand. Then there's cyclical time, which is just a spiral where we explore. Um, we just move around in circles and explore basically the same thing, but at a different level. So we just move and move and move around in circles. Then there is time that is just parallel. Everything is happening at the same time. And the way to navigate parallel time would be to use your intention and say something like, I want to go and explore this. And you go there. Um, but it's I remember one time I had a talk with Metatron, and he told me that the Metatron cube was a representation of time, and that you could actually navigate your timelines by moving from one point to the other within the cube. So um, yeah, right now in our evolution we see things linearly, but in the big scheme of things, everything is happening all at once, and we just give our attention to whatever we want to experience.
Yeah, that sounds very resonant too. The secular time, I never had even considered or thought about that, but that's hugely a part of fourth density experiencing too. So that makes a ton of sense. And the everything is happening now. It's hard for us to understand because we only get to experience that. Hey, I'm 1 years old, then I'm two, then I'm three, then I'm four, and it kind of always goes in a line. But Trev and Art have said that people in their own races can experience being on their deathbed before they ever experience being born. Now, how much of a mind screw is that for
Right.
us as a human?
Yeah, yeah,
Have you
yeah.
have you have you got to play with time yet? Like fourth density energy, or feeling the difference in time. Has that been anything since you met these galactic beings that you've got to experience personally, or just kind of understand on an intuitive level?
Well, the more powerful experience that I've had was in the dream state, and I I had asked to go to a specific point in time where everything every answer to any question was available. So in my dream state, I end up in this place where there's an absence of time. So it just felt like a void. And it's just me, and I'm sitting there with the knowing, just knowing, right? There's no other person talking to me. It's just me telling myself what's happening. So I start shooting out questions. What's going to happen then? And boom, there's the answer. What happened? Why did this happen to me when I was 16? Boom, the answer is there. What's going to happen if I do this with this person? Boom, the answer is there. So all the answers that I could come up with, I mean, all the questions that I could come up with had an answer. And this was regardless of time. So I could ask for anything that could happen in 20 years, and the answer was there. So that experience solidified within me the knowing that time is just happening right now, all of it at the same time. So that's like the most powerful experience I've had with time. Just getting to that point where I know everything about everything.
That's amazing. I think all of us have had some kind of smaller version of time feeling where a lot of us, especially since 2012, 2003 on to 2012, and especially towards 2019, 2020, 2021, a lot of people have mentioned to me through my work with the channeling kind of an experience of feeling like things are happening out of order, or that they feel like they just spent hours doing something and it's been minutes, or the opposite, where feel like they've spent minutes doing something and they see hours have gone past. So this is like the minimum bottom barrel of the escape of linear time, I think. It's amazing you said the dream states where you found that answer of time. And I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to re-mention it. It takes a while, and we're into the last third of the show. So basically, the first time I saw my dad after he passed away, what he showed me was how fourth density time works and how fifth dimensional time worked. And it was an amazing thing because it was an experience that was really dictated by the feeling and by the thoughts and by the emotions. And he showed me in this beautiful way that was very linear, but also very multidimensional. So it's something you probably heard when I was talking in Nashville, maybe about that. But um, yeah, it was definitely an amazing thing. Uh, so now you've had these experiences and connections. Can you tell us a little bit about your practices and what you do with others now? Now that you've learned this, now that you've integrated, now that you understand this, what are you doing with other people to help them? Because that's kind of your whole plan, was to come here and to help people be aware of things. So, how did that translate from learning, experiencing, and being that into doing this?
Right. So I think this is when the healing part comes in, uh, because um, I just I think that I think that humanity needs to let's use the new age terms, ascend, right? And it's just the way in which the planet is moving. So the planet is moving towards development and more creation. So the way that I work with everything that I've learned is to give people sometimes just reassurance that everything is okay, uh, but most of the time motivation to continue working. And really, I think the most important thing for me is just to be me. And I know a lot of people talk about that, about authenticity and honesty with yourself. um, but the way that I see this is that because I have accomplished certain unusual, let's say unusual things, um, people look at me and they're like, "Wow, man, you're like really different, really special." So I think the biggest part of my work is to help people see themselves as special and to know that they matter. It's and that's where the healing comes to, and sometimes healing is understood as physical healing, but there's also mental healing, there's also healing for your soul. So I think that right now that is my main focus, to go places, to meet people, to build a community, to help people in online chats, whatever, and just to let them know that everything is okay, that they're supported, that they're guided, that you can reach higher levels of happiness and joy. So I think I think that's my main motivation, and that's the way in which I operate. Um, Other than that, I also work with the planet as a grid worker. So I travel to different sacred places and do activations. Um, I think 2 years ago I was in Peru in the northern side of Peru, activating the pyramids, and I had gone to Nazca, also to the lines of Nazca, and activated those lines and activated those pyramids. And nowadays people come to me and they find out that I am from Peru, and they tell me, "Have you been to the pyramids in Peru?" And and I just think my work is done. If they know about the pyramids in Peru, my work is done. So
Well,
I just move around like that.
can you share with people who might not understand the concept of a grid worker, like someone who's never heard that term before? How do you describe that type of work?
Yes. So when I was talking earlier about the pyramids, and when I said that the pyramids are normally built on vortexes of energy, um, these vortexes of energy are part of a system, a grid that runs through the planet. So for North America, the main grid starts on the west in Mount Shasta, travels to Sedona in Arizona, and then moves all the way to Asheville. And it's kind of like a cone, right? A cone of energy that moves through that center of the country. And then it ends in South Carolina and the ocean. So that, to me, that's the main grid line in the US. Um, so
And
what I
that's oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that makes sense when you said this: Mount Shasta, Sedona, Asheville. Those are the three big meccas of spirituality in the United States right now. Those three
right,
cities, you can
right,
walk into 100 different shops that teach you meditation, breath work, channeling, consciousness, all of that.
right. Yes. So what I do is I travel to those places, and with agreements with the galactics and with agreements with the spirits that are in that land, we do work and we activate and energize and bring awareness to people, and just magical things happen.
So it has a lot to do with your energy of intention. You're working with your guides and bringing that focus into the natural portals that are there, if that's what I understood.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
That's beautiful. Yeah, Ruben and I were talking about this a while ago, and he said that a lot of grid workers had been connecting with the crystal skull energy. Is there
Mhm.
anything you could tell us there? Because I know a lot of those came from South America. I even believe at least one of them came from the Peruvian, the temples over there, the pyramids.
Yeah, so the most famous crystal skull came from Guatemala, from the Mayans. But my understanding of the crystal skulls is the new hybrids, the new children that are coming into this planet. So, from experiences, I have met little kids, little babies who, instead of having, um, let's say, a galactic as a guide or a past life as a guide, they have a crystal skull above them. And then, um, with the ones that I've met, I've activated the crystal skull for them so that they can bring that knowledge into this planet, into this reality. So to me, I understand there's the crystal skulls that people like to meditate with, but the crystal skulls are also in the children, that are being born nowadays.
And that's why a lot of these kids are called crystal children and rainbow children, rainbow being the spectrum of light that goes through the prism of the crystal.
Yep.
So that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
Well, that's beautiful. We're getting down close where we're going to be going to the lightning round here in about the next 5 or 10 minutes. But I wanted to get your perspectives on a couple things here.
Hmm.
What do people need to know who want to experience their guides, who want to connect with their own understanding of their, their own divinity, star seed, earth seed, all of these different terms? If they've been unfamiliar with all these things that we've talked about tonight, how do they start their own journey to start connecting?
Yes. So I think the there's two things. The first thing would be to trust your intuition, right? If you think that you are a Pleiadian, most likely you are a Pleiadian. So if you follow your intuition, then the second thing that you need to build up is the trust in yourself. So
Yes.
if you believe that you are a Pleiadian, then nobody can tell you you're not, because this came out of you and you trust yourself. You are your better guidance no matter what. So if you think that you are Arcturian, you don't need to do any tests for this. If you just think of it, and your intuition is saying yes, 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 you are that, why do we have to turn around and say, no, I need to do a test, I need a reading, I need to do whatever else to figure it out, I need a DNA test? No, you don't. Your intuition is that powerful.
Well, that's a very important part. This is something when I teach people how to channel, that's like rule number one. If you don't trust yourself, you will not have
Right.
the ability to connect with that energy. And, so logic mind will ask you, okay, what if I feel
Mhm.
like I'm Pleiadian, but I'm not? Is there still value in connecting to that energy?
um
I mean, because that's the logical mindset most skeptics ask, well, hey, if this is an energy that's not actually what I am, but I think that I am, and I spend my time thinking about them and hanging out with them or trying to connect with them, am I wasting my time doing it if I'm not connected to them?
yeah, so I think that in this case scenario, intuition overrides logic. Because yeah, logic, it's going to tell you to get proof, or um, to be a skeptic, and you're probably going to spend more energy trying to disprove what you believe than starting the work that you need to work if you had trusted your intuition from the get-go.
Boom.
So
Well, I agree, and this is something too that Trev and Art have told me that was really helpful to me. Trev in the beginning, and Art of telling other people this more now. What if I'm wrong? You might be. Well, that means what I'm doing is incorrect. No, because you have an excitement there. There's something you need from it. Period.
mhm.
If you're excited about it, there's something that lies of value within that, whether it's, hey, now I know I'm this type of star seed, or I found out I'm another type of star seed, and I just learned a whole bunch of cool stuff about other aspects of myself or other aspects of the cosmos, or what led me to the thing that I am was there. It could be a trillion different things, but it doesn't matter,
Right.
because as soon as you follow what's exciting for you and what brings joy in your life, the rest of the stuff will fall. And this is what I've taught with channeling too. What if you say, I should wear a blue shirt, but I should have wore a red shirt? Well, it doesn't matter, because that draw to that, you might have gotten it wrong that time, but you're learning to trust yourself. So you're going to ignore that logical mind. And soon enough, because the trust is there and now you're practicing trust, the information is going to come through in a trustworthy way, because you're building trust with yourself. It's just like business negotiations, you know. You can't work with a person that you don't know if you don't at least trust yourself, and then you learn to trust them along the way. So that's a very beautiful point. We're getting close to this lightning round, which is some benevolent questions I ask everyone. You know, just basic stuff to help us get to know you as a person better. But before we dive to that, I want to ask you like an additional precursor to the lightning round. You do a lot of work just being you. That's how you do your work. You're experiencing the joy and the support of others, the love of others, the connection, the enlightenment of others by helping share information and messages. What do you do when you're not doing that as a human? What are some of the things that you enjoy about living on the earth and being a earth human this life around?
Well, I like eating.
Oh yeah.
I like eating, so that's one. There's not much creativity in eating for me. There's more like a research, because I look for places where I would like to eat. Sometimes I cook, but cooking for me it's a very therapeutic, and I release a lot of energy when I. It's kind of like doing Reiki for me when I cook. You know, it's like Tai Chi. So eating is one thing that I really like. I like hanging out with people in different communities. Um, I recently purchased an electric guitar, so I'm playing my electric guitar, and that's also therapeutic for me. I relax a lot when I play. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm learning to be um, to relax more, because the past 10 years, it's I don't know if you went through that journey, but for me it was just read, watch videos, put the go to sleep with the videos, wake up to the books, go and meditate, and then people coming to you, and just it's just nonstop. So I'm retraining myself to maybe enjoy myself more, and I don't know, maybe just relax a little bit more.
Well, I love that. I mean, that's the reason why we're here too. As much of the spiritual work as we do, for me being very earth based and spending a lot of time incarnating on earth, I can say this, you know, with regularity. It's just as much to me about the earth experience as it is the etherical higher conscious experience. It's a way to find balance between the two for me. And this last 3 years has taught me a lot of that too with the baby. I've spent more time with my children than I have ever before since the baby's come, except for, you know, before my spiritual path with my son. I spent all the time with him. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I get that. We're getting close on time, so I want to start the lightning round. This is going to be about 5 or 6 highly benevolent questions. Answer them how you want. If you don't want to answer them, say pass, and nobody
Okay.
will judge you. But there's only one that's kind of personal, and you're an open book, so I doubt anything will be a problematic for you. But let's
Okay.
start with the one that I usually start with another one, but you brought up food. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food. I guess since I was born in Peru, my favorite food is Peruvian food. Um, but my second favorite would be Italian food, spaghetti and stuff like that, sauces. I like that stuff.
Is there a Peruvian dish that you are especially fond of, or that you would recommend for people who've never eaten Peruvian cuisine?
Um, I like um, I like a dish called tallarin saltado, and it's actually noodles with sautéed onions, tomatoes, and your choice of meat or meatless if you want it. And it has a soy sauce base, So it's kind of like Peruvian food has borrowed a lot from other cultures, because Peru it's there's so many different nationalities in Peru, but yeah, a lot of Peruvian food shares many of the ingredients with Asian food. So that one, it's one of my favorites.
I see. And I did know Peru was ethnically cultured in the way of having so many different cultures that existed there and ethnicities that kind of grouped into one area. But I didn't realize that there was a lot of Asian influence there too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, what is your favorite color?
I love blue.
Blue is great. Blue, true blue, right? Um, what is your favorite band and or song?
My favorite band, Alice in Chains.
Ooh, nice. A 90s guy, yeah. You like the
Yeah,
90s music. Do you have a favorite
yeah.
song?
From Alice in Chains, I love them all, really. All of them are good.
My favorite from Alice in Chains is Man in the Box. That's one of my favorite. I really enjoyed that one. That's a good one. Um, what is your favorite place that you've ever been where you go out into nature and you enjoy both the feeling and the beauty of it?
Hmm. Um, I think I think the beaches of the Caribbean. I'm thinking of Barbados. Uh, it's it's such a small island that I think no matter where you live, you're really close to the ocean. So um, I enjoy those beaches and just sitting there and relaxing. Yeah.
So, had you spent a great deal of time in Barbados, or was
Not
it
a lot
just a
of
little
time,
bit?
but I've visited. Yeah,
Did you ever connect with any of the locals then?
yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
they eat something that is called fly fish. So yeah, it's fish that flies. They eat it. So,
Oh, yeah. I went. My mind went the other direction, like insects with fish.
no, 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 no,
No.
no, no, no,
Uh,
no.
um. So maybe you can get this dispute. I've had a dispute with a friend before about Barbados. He calls it Barbados. I say that the locals pronounce it Barbados. Who's correct?
um, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go for Barbados, since that's the one I
Okay.
use.
Okay, well, I lost that one. That's fine. I can admit it defeat when I need to, right? All right. The last question I'm going to ask you, and this one tends to be the most personal. What is your favorite memory from your childhood?
My favorite. There's. I think that the earliest memory I have is of me being maybe 2 years old and visiting one of my aunts. She had a huge house with a huge yard, and she had planted apple trees. So they were really, really little apple trees, and my mom was sitting on the grass and she was sitting on the grass. They weren't sitting on blankets, just on the grass. And my dad and my uncle, they were just talking. But I remember running around, and I think, I don't know, there's something peaceful about that memory.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's you're the first person who said the same thing that I did. That my first memory was my favorite. The very first one that I had, and 2 years old, having a memory from that's phenomenal. Most people don't remember till they're 4 or 5. I thought that mine at 3 was actually pretty great, but um, That's amazing. It shows the level of connectivity even that you had as a child, which is amazing. But so that's it for the lightning round. Before I get to the part where I want you to share with people how to get in touch with you, or how to look at your work, or how to go find you on social media, or whatever, I just want to say thank you for coming tonight. You're an amazing dude. I've loved you since the day I met you, and I consider you like one of those people who are always memorable because of your character, because of your sense of love, your actual desire to help people. It's something that, as embarrassing as it says, becomes less and less relevant in our community in the last 10 years. Which is a really sad thought. But just so many people start caring more about how many people like their post than they do actually being a genuine person who is loving and connected. So I just wanted to say thank you for not just for being here, but for sharing your heart, your love, and your experiences with me and all the listeners too.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, brother. So, how do people find you? Where can they go to connect with you, contact you, have a chat with you? Do you have anything that you're doing that you want people to be involved with? You said you're creating community. Can you tell us a little bit about all of that?
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Julio R. You could message me if you have questions. I have people messaging me from the last show with questions. So anybody can do that. I'm there. You can find me there. Um, and yeah, I I do sessions, here and there for those that need them. Um, if you want to meet, we can meet. But basically, yeah, whoever needs some type of guidance, I can guide you. And I don't know. I enjoy being who I am a little bit too much sometimes. So my Facebook is and my Instagram, they're not business pages. They're more who I really am and what I do and what I think. And it's good to visit my page because there's a lot of messages that I get, and I just put them on Facebook, and it's part of my crazy personality. And then in there, I throw other crazy stuff from my real life. So that's right now. That's where I got going. Um, I'm here in Orlando, like I said. So there's a couple places here in Orlando that I visit. They're all A lot of them are private events. But if you're in Orlando, if you're traveling to Orlando, then just hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Um, and yeah, I mean, in the future, something else may pop up. I may want to do classes. I may want to do maybe grid work in groups. Um, I don't know. It's just it's about having fun, I think. So whatever sounds fun to me and whatever sounds fun to other people, maybe we'll be doing in the future. So I'll leave it
So
open.
so keep your eyes out, guys, for Julio, and check out. We did put the social media to Instagram and Facebook below. Thank you again, brother, for coming here tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to let everyone else know tonight at midnight we have two different shows that are going on. One to the hosts who graciously brought us here to the Matrix Minds open line night, talking about coronal mass ejections, how you should prepare for blackouts, discussion on the lines, talk about the topics. Be there live with Matt Turner over on the Matrix Minds. And also, we will have the Enlightenment Evolution Network's show Out There Talk with Valiant himself tonight on Instagram. All the information is on the Enlightenment Evolution Network page on Facebook. and the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, and me and Kalina's personal Facebook. If you go to at Out There Talk, you can find Herbie Show on Instagram. And if you go to Facebook and type in the Matrix Minds, or go to my Facebook and click the Matrix Minds, you'll find that show there. I'm going to have CW Chanter here next week. If you have not got a load of him, wait till you get a load of him. Crazy guy, amazing guy, a good friend, longtime friend, and a lot of things we're going to talk about coming up, including, I'm sure, some of the things that have been extremely harmful in our community and the way that things work. So check out our show next week, guys. We are here at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time every Wednesday on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook Enlightenment Evolution Hour page, and the Matrix Minds every Wednesday at 10. And our archives can be found in the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, Conscious Awakening Network, and on my YouTube channel, the ET Whisper. Guys, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of tonight. I love you all so much. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday on the other side. Enjoy the week, guys.